Hello, good evening to you all. Today is our day 11 of this 3-month data analytics bootcamp. Like I said, this bootcamp will last for about 3 months, and today is our day 11. Like always, we start by showing our outlines. That is what we are to cover for the day. So today we'll have a recap on the 10 that is yesterday, and we'll also talk about if and. That's what we are going to discuss about today. And then we'll have question and answer, then conclusion, and we call it a day. So yesterday we discussed about if nested, that is if inside if. That's what we discussed about yesterday. I told you it's a formula or function that you create different criteria within a particular range of data. And once that criteria is fulfilled, then you will have the value if true for each condition you created within the function. So that's what if did. And don't forget, like I told you at the end of your if, make sure you close all the brackets you open during the creating of the function. Today we'll look at if and. If and is a function that requires you to create multiple conditions. Is a function that requires you to create multiple condition. If you can recall before, we only create each condition with its own true, single condition with true value, single condition with true value, single condition with true value. That's what we did yesterday. So in this if and, we are going to create multiple condition with true value, with one true value. That means we have to create a condition, two or more condition, that such condition must be true for us to see the result. For example, I can say if maybe I have three columns or I have two columns, maybe I have column of marks and I have column of gender. So for the column of marks, maybe score or people. So I can say if maybe in the score is greater than 80 and also the gender is male, then I want a particular course to be given to this candidate. So I create two conditions here. I create two conditions, two criteria here, and it must be greater than 80 and it must be a male gender. If not, we'll not see the value we provided in the function. So this is what this if and means. So now instead of us to only use if C3 is greater than or equals to 20, comma, value if true, value if false, no. Now we are going to create multiple conditions for that uh, if true value. For us to see that true value, we must have that particular condition. So that's what it means to create if and. So let's go and see the practical of it. Okay. Okay. So now I think let me go back to our data. That is the initial data we've been using. So let's go back to it and look at and create that. So for example, now yeah, I hide some rows here. So let me get rid of this. I don't need it. And also let me I don't need this, or maybe mm, okay, let me use this status. Or let me create it here. So I'm going to use this bonus based on the criteria we have here. So maybe I want to create a transport bonus. Maybe that's what I want to create. Okay. So maybe I want to create a transport bonus for these tabs that I have. But this is how the criteria is going to be. I want to look at I'm going to give the transport bonus one to only females and two to only females that their salary is below minimum wage. Once their salary, once they are females and their salary is below minimum wage, I want to add 15,000 transport bonus for them. If not, I will add nothing. Maybe I will add zero. So that's what I'm going to do. Please understand this. Now we are comparing two conditions. It must be a female and it must have a salary below minimum wage. So we already have our gender column and we already have what? We already have the status of their salary. So it's either below minimum wage or above minimum wage. So here, if for example, we have 91, we did this together with you when we create the if function, we did it together. Okay. So now this is how it works. So let's write the if and function. So we're going to say equals to if open bracket, then we use and, then we open another bracket. So this is how it works. So when you say if open bracket, then you say and again, immediately you put that. So it will ask you to put all the criteria and condition you want to create inside that and. So don't forget, in this scenario that I gave you, we only need to compare two columns. That is the column of gender for it to be a female and column of status for it to be below minimum wage. So let's do that. So for the column of gender, we have E3. So I'm going to write E3. That is if E3 is equals to female, then I close my double quote. I already told you whenever you are passing a string or qualitative data inside any parameter or function you are creating, you have to put it inside double quote. But if it is a numeric data, you don't need to put it inside double quote. So that's number one. So we said that the first criteria we have is for it to be a female. The second criteria is G3. And we want G3 to be equals to, we want the G3 to be equals to below minimum wage. So we have to put double quote and write below minimum wage like this. So now these are the two conditions we just created for this. These are the two conditions for us to have the true value that we want to create for our formula. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this condition. We're going to close it. Since when we create, if we open bracket, we put and we open another bracket. So we need to close this bracket when we are done putting all the condition. Then I put comma. Let me explain this to you. When you are using if and, even though tomorrow we are going to treat if or, if you are using if and, you will not see the result until all these conditions that you have are true. So even if the person here has below minimum wage, but is a male, you will not get the bonus of 15,000. Even if she's a female, but she's not below minimum wage, she's not going to get the what? The bonus. Because the condition requires someone to have two, to qualify for two conditions. So the person must be someone who must be a female and also must have below minimum wage. So this condition must be true. It's compulsory for it to be true, all true. Then you are going to see the result of that. So now when we create the condition, we close the first bracket for the and that we created. Then we put our comma. So the next thing it will ask you is the value if the condition is true. And I already told you what we want if the condition is true is 15,000. So I'm going to write 15,000, comma. If it's false, that means either of this condition or none of this condition is not true. What we want to see is zero. We are adding zero, nothing. Or maybe we can add something. Let's say we can add 5,000. Yeah, let's add 5,000. For example, if they have, whether they're females, males, or whatever, we just add 5,000 for them. But others that are females and they are below minimum wage, we're adding 15,000 for them. So let's do that. Then you close your bracket. So once you close your bracket, you are done. All you need to is to press enter, and then we have our 5,000. Why? Because this person is above minimum wage, even though the person is female, but because she's above minimum wage, we are only adding 5,000 for her. So this is it, and all you need is to drag down, and here it is, and here it is. So now, anybody that is a female below minimum wage will see 15,000, 15,000. But even if she's a female, for example, now we have 15,000. If I turn it to male, it will definitely becomes a 5,000, even though he is below minimum wage. But since he's a male, then we will definitely give the person 5,000. Please understand this. So this is how you create this um criteria using if. And whenever you are using if and, this is how you create this criteria. So you can do much a lot. Even the if nested that we did, you can also do that if nested in your and. If you like, you go ahead and create that. Don't forget, the only difference between this if and that if that we did before is just the use of this and. And once you create this and you open bracket, whatever you put inside here are your criteria. Then you have to close the criteria when you are done with that. So let's move to another. I'm going to call it maybe another. Yeah, I'm sorry. Another example. Let's treat another example on this. Let me call it status or maybe action. So for this, based on this interpretation that we did, I want us to again maybe create something. I want us to have to create another maybe action that we need to take based on the maybe the result that we have of these patients. So if I'm sorry, but all what I'm going to give you the example is just something else. Don't worry, it's just for us to understand how to do this. For example, let's say if if the condition that we have in this is let's say very high, the patient is female, maybe we will definitely say the person is pregnant, for example. Don't mind this. I'm just trying to say this. I wanted to use that data that has to do with that issue of pregnancy and the rest, but don't worry, it's been uh something else and I didn't open it. So now let's just use this. For example, I just want us to say that. For example, if she's a female and the condition is high, very high, and also the um okay, the white blood cell. Let's say the white blood cell is 100. So if she's a female and the white blood cell count is 100 and also the interpretation is very high, then we want to categorize the person as pregnant. Otherwise, maybe we just want it to be none like that, just like that. So let me just call it maybe pregnancy result. I'm sorry, I just want to put it like this. It's just, yeah. Let's just call it that. Now I give three conditions. Don't forget, it has to be a female gender. The white blood cells count of the female gender must be 100. And also the interpretation, that is the status, the classification of the parasite density must be very high. So these are the three conditions that once we have it, we want to categorize or label the patients to be a pregnant woman. So that's what we want to do. Otherwise, we just want it to be none like that. That's what I just said. So let's create that. So I'm going to say equals to if, again, open bracket, then I write my and, open bracket. Then the first thing is to take the cell where gender is because we want it to be a female. So I'm going to use the C2 because C2 that's where gender is. So it's going to be C2 is equals to female, comma. The next criteria we want is the white blood cells count to be 100. So we have E2 also. So E2 should be equals to 100. So now I'm not going to put it inside double quote. It has to be 100 like this. Then for the, okay, so. So for the interpretation, that is the classification, which is H2. So there we want the classification to be very high. So we want it to be very high. So I'm going to say very high. So this is the criteria for this particular condition. This is what we need. So we want it to be a female, the white blood cells to be 100, and also to the classification of the parasite density to be high, very high. So when it is this, what do we want to see? We want it to be pregnant. So that's what we want, for it to be a pregnant. Otherwise, we want it to be none. That means nothing else. The person is just maybe feeling weak or something like that. So when we have that, then we close our bracket and it will give us the result. So let me press enter. Yeah, we have none. So let's just click here. And you see all this, we have none, 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 none. Why? Because for this, the ones we are seeing, let me just scroll down and see the rest. You see, we don't have this type of, what do I call it? We don't have this criteria. We don't have all these criteria. We don't have this criteria in this for us to get that result. But let me show you something. Let's say, for example, yeah. Yeah, I understand. There is no way we can have that. There is no way we can have that. Why? Because for you to get that very high or high, you must have 200 white blood cells in you. So 100 white blood cells will just be around maybe moderate and whatever. So now, since we did not get anything like that, let me touch something and show you this. Let me change this to this. Let me just copy it and paste it here. You see, we have very high, we have this, we have this. Okay. Okay, so let me look at this. Okay, I made a mistake, don't worry, don't mind me. Now we have a very high parastemia. That's what I need to put. So under this very high, I need to add that parastemia. So that's what I need to add in the that condition. But let me check again, and yeah, still we didn't get anything like that. But let me copy this and paste here. We supposed to get a pregnant once. Why? Because this is very high parastemia, and also we have 100 white blood cell, and the patient is female. So all the three criteria now are true, and that's why we get this result. And like I told you, even if the two are true, but one of them is not true, definitely you are not going to see the result. For example, this one that I've just changed, everything, all these two is female, it has 100 white blood cell, but this is not very high, so definitely we are not going to see that result. So what I'm going to do is what I'm going to use now here is that I'm going to create if nested in this, because I don't want it to only be maybe very high or just like that. Maybe we want it to be very high. We want it to be, we want to categorize all this that we have. That is the low, the very high, the moderate, the high. We want to categorize all here, and we want to give it something else. So let's do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm deleting this if that is if true, value if false. I want to get rid of it, and I'm creating another if, and I'm creating another if and again, because I want to have the same criteria in here, just to change only this very high to high. That's what I'm going to do. And I also change for the moderate, and I also create for the low. So that's what I'm doing here. Please don't get confused. The formula is going to be very long, but please don't get confused. I'm just copying this. I'm copying this. I'm pasting it here, but I'm changing this very high to high. So that's what I'm going to do. And I'll put comma again, and I'm creating another if. Okay, sorry. After the comma, then I have to put the value if true. So for the value if true, we need it to be pregnant also, because it's the same pregnant. So if under if the value if false, Okay, I'm sorry. I have some little issue with my network. I don't know if you can hear me, please. Can you hear me, please, so that we can continue? So for this, I'm going to remove this and put moderate. So I want it to be moderate. So maybe for this moderate, what I want to do is I'll put comma after this bracket. Okay, I'm sorry again. Is my network? Is my network? So for this also moderate, for the moderate, maybe I want to term it with something else. So I want the value to be um probable. Maybe let's say okay, I just want us to give it something else, not none. For the moderate, I want it to be something else. I don't know what to put here. Not pregnant. Okay, let's say pregnancy not confirmed. So I'll put another one, then I'll create another if and I'll open bracket, then I'll paste this again, but here I'm going to call it low. We need to have low. So under this, this is what I want to call none. So I want it to be none. So I'm going to close all the bracket, which is 4. Then I'll press enter, and this is it. So I'll double click. Okay, so sorry. Okay, for the high, let me look at it. Okay, for the high. Hmm. Okay, I want to do this. Okay, sorry. I want to what I did is I just saw that false. Let me just show you. I saw this false because when I look at the criteria of this false, we did not cover anything related to that criteria because all what we have been doing, we're talking about females, females, females. So definitely we are going to have all these false, false, false. If it is male and it did not qualify any of this. So that way I just go back to the function after this non, the last one, I want to pass another non if false. That means all these conditions are false. Once they are false, all I want to see is none. So I don't want to see this false, false, false. So that way I just create that one. Yeah, we didn't treat it yesterday during if nested. So I just show you how to put this so that all these criteria, that anything that didn't falls within these four criteria we created. So we want it to be none. So that's it. So everything that you see none, it means it did not falls within the criteria or it is low, the way we create a for the low here. So this is what we just created for the if nested. We created if nested for the using if and also. So you see we have this. So pregnancy not confirmed. Here we have pregnancy. Here we have pregnant, 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 pregnant. Even if it is high and the condition is true. So now you see it's female with 100 white blood cells and it has high parasitemia. So this high and very high will determine the person whether it's pregnant or not. If the person has moderate, then the person has pregnancy. You see here is moderate, but it's female with 100 white blood cells. So we say pregnancy not confirmed. So like that, if you go through the data, that's the result we are going to get based on this. So in nutshell, all this if and that you saw it, just like I said from the beginning, it's a condition that you use multiple criteria for it, and the criteria, all the criteria, even if it is one, two, three, four, five, even if it is 10, all the 10 criteria must be true for you to get the value if true. If out of 10 are true, but only one is false, you are not going to get the result. You are not going to get the result. You will get something else. So for the if and all the conditions, all the criteria must be true for you to get the result. Please have this at the back of your mind. And I told you, if when you open your if, you open bracket, you start by putting the and. You open another bracket, then you put all the conditions that you want. After that, you close the bracket for the and, you put comma. That's when you put the value if true and the value if false. Oh, that's where you can continue. After putting the value if true, then you continue with the other if you are writing if nested. So please understand, this is very, very easy. If you marry this with yesterday and day before yesterday class, all will give you a very good result. And this is exactly where we are going to stop today. If you have a question, go ahead and ask. If you don't, I think this is where we are going to call it a day. Okay, I think there is no any question. So in the absence of that, this is where we are going to draw the curtain and we meet tomorrow. I wish you all the best. See you tomorrow. Have a wonderful dream. Bye bye.